Welcome to our Acts 28 32 fellowship. Greetings from Brother Sonny and myself as we bring to you episode number 8. In our previous episode, we talked about the big problem that Adam and Eve, our first representatives, brought down upon us. Now we will begin to talk about the solution to that problem. In fact, the solution was given by God immediately when Adam and Eve fell in the form of a promise that was also pronounced as a curse upon Satan, the serpent, the tempter. And we find that promise in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Let me read it to you. God speaking to Satan, the serpent. And this is a kind of a punishment upon him. And God said, "And I will put enmity or conflict or war between you, Satan, the serpent, and the woman, between your seed," Satan's descendants, "and her seed," or her son. There is a son of a woman that was going to come. "And he, this seed, the son of the woman, shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." All right, so Satan took over the rulership over the world, but God said, someday the son of a woman will come and he will destroy you and take back the power from you. You have illegally grabbed the power that used to belong to Adam, the first representative, but now a second representative for humanity will come, and he will regain and he will take back what you have stolen from humanity. And so that brings us to a verse in the New Testament in Galatians chapter 4 about the fulfillment of this promise. Let me read Galatians 4 verse 4. "But when the fullness of the time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons." Okay. In the fullness of time, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman. And who is this son of a woman? That is no other than the Son of God, Jesus Christ, who came down to be born as a human being through virgin birth. And by his coming, by his birth, he came to fulfill the prophecy of Genesis 3:15. And we might describe that as the launching of the invasion of God into this world against the kingdom of Satan. You see, because the world has become the kingdom of Satan. Now, the conqueror is going to come. And by his coming, through his birth, he launched the invasion against the kingdom of Satan. Well, actually, Satan knew this on that night when Jesus was born. All right? And then, following that, as the three kings from the east came to Jerusalem to offer their worship and their gifts to this king of the Jews that was prophesied in Genesis 3:15, Satan knew something was happening. After thousands of years of waiting and watching, you can imagine Satan, okay, from the time of the Garden of Eden, when God pronounced that curse upon him, someone will be born who will defeat you. And so through all those thousands of years, he was watching and waiting and seeing who was this who was going to come. Finally, the hour struck. The time came. The Son of God came down and was born as a baby. And that was probably quite a surprise to Satan. All right. What do you mean you're sending a baby to defeat me? Okay. Well, Satan did not know or understand how God operated. Okay. There is actually a verse in the Bible, in Haggai. All right. Do not despise the day of small things. All right. The conqueror came. The one who will defeat Satan came as a helpless baby. And so, when the three kings from the east came looking for this king of the Jews who was born, and they went to the palace of Herod to inquire, where was he who is born king of the Jews? And of course, at that time, Herod was sitting as king over the Jewish people. And that probably sounded to him as a joke. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean somebody was born king of the Jews? See, my wife did not give birth to a son recently. But then Herod was wise enough to know that there was something in the Bible, in the Old Testament scriptures about that coming king. And so he consulted with the scribes, the teachers of the law, the wise men in the scriptures, and said, what does the scripture say about this? And they told him, yes, O king, there is someone who is going to be born in Bethlehem. And now, here we see the work of Satan. From even when Jesus was only a baby. Actually, he was about 2 years old by the time that the wise men came looking for him. All right. Satan used King Herod as his instrument to kill, to defeat, to stop this son who was prophesied to go against him. And it was easy to do that because this was just a little baby. This was just a little boy. Okay? What's so hard about crushing a little boy, killing a little boy? So he used Herod to design a trick. You know, it wasn't a very complicated trick. He just said, okay, to the three wise men, he said, all right, go and search for the baby, for the boy, and when you have found him, come back and tell me where he is, and I will also go and worship him. Yeah, because he saw that these three wise men, okay, we don't exactly know if they were only three, because they probably came with a large caravan. But we say three because they brought three gifts, and one for each: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Okay, so we just say three kings or three wise men. So the wise men went, and they were directed by the star, and it stood right above the house where Mary and the boy Jesus and Joseph were living, were staying. And they offered their gifts, and they worshiped, and they acknowledged him, and they started on their way back home after offering their gifts. But an angel warned them not to return to Herod, but to go by another way, so that Herod would not be able to accomplish his dirty trick. And at the very same time, that very same night, an angel also appeared to Joseph and said, "Go right away and take the mother and the baby and flee to Egypt and hide there until I tell you when it is safe to return." And so the wise men left. Joseph and Mary and the baby, the boy Jesus, fled to Egypt, and there was Herod waiting for the wise men to appear, and he waited a day, probably, or maybe 2 days, and I'm just guessing. And by the third day, he said, "What happened? Those wise men did not come back." And so he instructed his soldiers right away to go to Bethlehem and kill all the children from 2 years old down, because he was doing his mathematics, and he estimated that that was probably the age group where that baby king was included. Okay? Because it took that length of time for the wise men to appear, to come and travel to offer their gift to the baby Jesus. Okay, and so they had this massacre of the infants, and in the Philippines, we celebrate this as Innocents' Day on December 28, the slaughter of the innocents, when Herod killed all the boys from 2 years down. But behind that, actually, was Satan. Okay, Satan knew this was going to be the conqueror who will defeat him, and he wanted to make sure that he killed that enemy before that conqueror killed him. But he failed. All right, and what did God do? So first of all, God hides Jesus in Egypt, and after a time, after Herod died, he brought Joseph, Mary, and Jesus back to the land of Judea and to a city called Nazareth. And for 30 years, Jesus lived a quiet, hidden life. All right. There was only one time mentioned where the family visited Jerusalem with Jesus during those 30 years. It was when Jesus was 12 years old, they went to Jerusalem to attend a festival, a religious festival. And then after that, they went back to Nazareth, and we read the whole story of Jesus from baby to 30 years old is recounted to us in one verse in Luke chapter 2, verse 52. All right? Let's read that. Luke chapter 2, verse 52. Actually, 51 and 52. Let's read. Luke 2, 51 and 52. Then he, Jesus, went down with them, that is, his earthly parents, Joseph and Mary, and came to Nazareth and was subject to them. But his mother kept all these things in her heart. And this is the summary of the life of Jesus from 1 year old to 30 years old. Verse 52. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Yes, he came as a baby, but he had to grow and develop like a normal human being until he was ready to start his public ministry. Now, this is very important. These are called the hidden years of Jesus. When he lived as an ordinary, simple human being, developing normally through the stages of life, all right? From childhood to youth, to young adulthood, and to full maturity as a man until he was 30. What was the reason for this? Well, our verse says, he grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and with man. He experienced the ordinary experiences of life as well as its pressures, because he was being prepared as a representative. You see, to become our representative, Jesus had to experience everything that we experience. He went through the normal process of growth, but in his case, God's grace was upon him as God's chosen representative, and he lived a perfect life. He grew in favor with God and with man. And when he would appear, as we would talk about that in our next episode, when he would appear publicly, God would proclaim him and announce him as, God said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Our second representative, Jesus Christ, was prepared and ready to launch the invasion against the kingdom of Satan. God bless you, and we will see you in our next episode.